What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to you and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
President travels to India on his first official foreign tour. 5 acting ministers appointed. Representatives of India and Sri Lanka agree to resolve the Indo-Sri Lankan fisheries issue on a diplomatic level. United Nations assures Sri Lanka of its continuous support in providing technical and financial support for Sri Lanka's development. Acting President of South Korea speaks to US President over the phone. Over 8,000 metric tons of imported rice released to the market. Steps taken to re-export rice that is not suitable for consumption.
In our top story for tonight, President Anurakumara Dissanayake and the delegation landed in New Delhi, India. This is the first official foreign visit of President Dissanayake since assuming office.
Accompanying the President are Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vijita Herath, along with the Minister of Labour and Deputy Minister of Economic Development, Professor Anil Jayanth Fernando. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, during the visit, President Dissanayake will hold high-level bilateral discussions with Indian President Draupadi Murmu as well as with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, focusing on significant issues of mutual interest. He is also scheduled to meet Indian Vice President Shri Jagdeep Dhankar, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, Health Minister J.P. Nadda and National Security Advisor Shri Ajit Doval, among other senior officials. As part of his agenda, the President will participate in a business forum in New Delhi aimed at strengthening investment and trade ties between the two countries. The visit will conclude with the trip to Buddha Gaya, a site of spiritual and cultural significance. This visit, that will continue until the 17th of December, aims to further enhance Indo-Sri Lanka relations. This is how India had prepared for President Anurakumara Dissanayake's visit. 5 acting ministers have been appointed to oversee key ministries during President Anurakumara Dissanayake's visit to India. Accordingly, Deputy Minister of Digital Economy, Engineer Ranga Veeraratna, has been appointed as Acting Minister of Digital Economy. Deputy Minister of Defence Aruna Jayasekara will serve as Acting Minister of Defence. Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma will function as Acting Member of the Ministry of Finance and Planning. Deputy Minister of Foreign Employment Arun Hemachandra will act as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism. Deputy Minister of Labour Mahinder Jayasinghe has been appointed as the Acting Minister of Labour.
The Minister of Fisheries, Aquatic and Ocean Resources, Ramalingam Chandrasekhar, says that the representatives of both countries have come to an agreement and will resolve the Indo-Sri Lanka fisheries issue in a friendly and a diplomatic manner.
Ramalingam Chandrasekhar, the Minister of Fisheries, Aquatic and Ocean Resources, said that the agreement was made following a meeting with Santosh Jha, the High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka. The fisheries issue between the two countries was discussed at length during the meeting. The High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka further said that Indian fishermen would be instructed to avoid entering Sri Lankan sea borders. During the meeting, they reached an agreement to quickly settle the impacts on the fishermen of both countries.
Mark Andre, the resident representative of the United Nations to Sri Lanka, assured that the United Nations will continue to provide technical and financial support for Sri Lanka's development. He made these remarks during a discussion with the Minister of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, at the Ministry of Health.
The resident representative of the United Nations, Marc-André Frange, emphasized that the long-standing partnership between the United Nations, the government and the people of Sri Lanka will be further strengthened in the future. He emphasized that the upcoming period will be challenging for the current government due to the large public mandate at the recent election that resulted in high public expectations. He appreciated Sri Lanka's efforts in overcoming economic and health challenges through various programs in collaboration with the IMF. He further expressed support for the new government's distinctive initiatives to promote national unity among the general public. He added that the United Nations is committed in supporting the new government's efforts to promote sustainable peace within the country. Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, addressing the discussion, appreciated the United Nations collaboration with Sri Lanka and reflected on how significant it is for Sri Lanka to work in partnership with the United Nations. He added that together, both Sri Lanka and the United Nations aim to drive progress across all sectors of Sri Lanka's economy, society and culture, ensuring a brighter future for the island nation. Sri Lanka Director of the United Nations World Food Programme, Abdul Rahim Siddiqui, Resident Representative of the United Nations Development Programme, Asusa Kubota, and the Sri Lanka representative of UNICEF, Christian Skog, were among the delegation that was led by Marc-Andre Franche.
Parliamentarian Nalin Bandara of the Samagi Janabalawega said that a name would be proposed from the opposition for the position of the Speaker of the Parliament. He made this statement at a media briefing in Colombo today.
Ashoka Ranwala recently announced through a statement issued under the official letterhead of Parliament that he has decided to resign from the position of Speaker. He had submitted his resignation to President Andrew Kumar Dissanayake and the President had accepted it. The Department of Communication of the Parliament said that the President's Secretary Dr. Nandika Sanat Kumar Nayaka had informed the General Secretary Kushani Anusha Rohanadira in writing regarding the resignation of Ashoka Ranwala. On the 17th of December, the vacant position of Speaker is set to be filled in accordance with the Constitution, with a Member of Parliament to be appointed following confirmation from parliamentarians. The Samagi Janabalawega is ready to propose a name for the position of Speaker.
It is not enough to only resign from the position of Speaker. They have misled the people of this country. The right thing to do would be to resign from Parliament. On Tuesday, we expect to propose a name of a member of our party for the position of Speaker. We do not trust the eligibility of the next person to be appointed as Speaker from the compass, as there is doubt cast over the trust that has been placed in them. We cannot be fooled once more. We supported him and we were deceived. On the next day in Parliament, we will definitely propose a name from the opposition, and these people are not people with fake academic qualifications.
The Deputy Minister of Vocational Education, Nalin Hevage, said that as a party, they will take action against anyone who commits any offences.
We began this journey in the midst of several crises. We are set to begin the Clean Sri Lanka project by the first day of next year. We believe that the elimination of corruption, dishonesty and theft from this country and setting a strong political example is now becoming a major challenge that we are facing. The Speaker's issue. None of us think that Sri Lanka needs any more dishonest politicians. You, the people, gave power to the Malimawa because of all the mistakes that were committed by the old politicians. In regard to that, he has now resigned. He is expecting to make an announcement in the future. Our party is such a party. Comrade Anwar said that rank does not matter. We are a political party that had made such decisions throughout history. That is how you trusted us, not because you wanted to see the faults of other parties through us as well. We promise you that we will make the necessary decisions regardless of their ranks.
The People's Struggle Alliance held a media briefing today and expressed their views regarding the agreements said to have been reached between the government and creditors on sovereign bonds.
The Ministry of Finance has issued a statement that Sri Lanka has achieved a historic victory by entering into an agreement with sovereign bondholders. A few years ago, in 2022, the country had to pay $750 million as an installment for a sovereign bond. The governor of the central bank at that time was Ajit Niwad Kabra. He acclaimed with much confidence that this payment can be made and that it will not deplete our reserves. We revealed that they were pushing for this payment to be made because it was someone in Sri Lanka who had purchased the bonds and because they wanted to line their pockets. We say the same thing here again that by signing this agreement of Ranil Wickremesinghe, they are going to saddle the country with a debt that the country cannot pay. The statement says that this agreement was initially entered into on the 26th of November. Was it the Ranil Wickremesinghe government that agreed to it, or was it the Anurakumara Dissanayake government that agreed to it? Even though Ranil had already done this, the current government could have reviewed it. They have entered into this final agreement without even presenting it in Parliament. Who attended these discussions? Who prepared this agreement? It was the bondholders who prepared this agreement. There was an agreement prepared by Sri Lanka in March. That agreement was discarded and we agreed to this agreement prepared by the bondholders. We are paying an additional agreement fee of 1.8% of the entire value. This amounts to a total of $225 million. Remember that we were a country that were helpless in 2022 after we were unable to pay for a fuel ship valued at $50 million. It is from this country that they are trying to take $225 million. By implementing this agreement, Sri Lanka will face a serious crisis. It was Ranil Wickremesinghe who placed this time bomb that will go off in 2028.
News First with the people.
South Korea's acting president Han Duck-soo sought to reassure that the country's allies and calm financial markets a day after President Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached and suspended from his duties over a martial law attempt.
According to foreign media reports, the White House and Han's office said that Han spoke with US President Joe Biden by phone. In a further attempt to stabilize the Asian nation's leadership, the main opposition party announced it would not seek to impeach Han for his involvement in Yoon's December 3rd martial law decision. Speaking to Han over the phone, Biden assured Han the ironclad US-South Korea alliance remained unchanged and Washington would work with Seoul to further develop and strengthen the alliance as well as trilateral cooperation, including neighbor Japan. The White House said in a statement that the US President, quote, expressed his appreciation for the resiliency of a democracy and the rule of law in the Republic of Korea and reaffirmed the ironclad commitment of the United States to the people of the Republic of Korea, end quote.
Georgian opposition parties are urging the European Union to impose immediate sanctions on their country's leadership as mass anti-government protests continue in Tbilisi.
An appeal signed by 4 party leaders claims that Georgia is, quote, on the verge of an unprecedented political crisis after more than 2 weeks of rallies against the ruling Georgian Dream Party's decision to halt EU accession talks. Security services have been widely criticized for their response to protests, with some activists beaten and detained, and crowds targeted with tear gas and water cannons. The opposition chief's appeal addressed to EU countries, foreign ministers and senior officials branded the repression of protests organized terror and called on European allies to denounce state violence and press for unconditional release of protesters who are in custody. They are urging the bloc to impose targeted sanctions against those responsible for anti-democratic actions, including influential Georgian Dream founder Bidzina Ivanishvili, and suspended visa-free travel for officials. On Saturday, lawmakers elected former professional footballer Mikhail Kavelashvili, a hardline critic of the West, as the country's new president. Opposition parties say his presidency is illegitimate due to allegations of his inconsistencies during the earlier parliamentary election. In their letter, opposition leaders also outlined the scale of alleged political repression linked to the protests. The election of Mikhail has, quote, worsened an already difficult situation, the politicians added, saying that the president-elect often engaged in, quote, active anti-Western propaganda. On Monday, Kallas, who is the EU's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, will meet top diplomats to discuss the situation in Georgia, among other topics. The Georgian opposition urged her to speak out in favor of democracy, saying that the Georgian nation is, quote, standing up against Russian-backed authoritarianism and fighting for a democratic European future, end quote.
In more news overseas, ABC News has agreed to pay US dollars 15 million to US President-elect Donald Trump to settle a defamation lawsuit after its star anchor falsely said he had been found liable for rape.
US President-elect Donald Trump filed a defamation lawsuit after ABC star anchor falsely said he had been found, quote, liable for rape. George Stephanopoulos made the statement repeatedly during an interview on the 10th of March this year while challenging a congresswoman about her support for Trump. The settlement, which was filed publicly Saturday, reveals the network will also pay $1 million in Trump's attorney's fees and will issue an apology. A jury in a civil case last year determined Trump was liable for, quote, sexual abuse, which has a specific definition under New York law. As part of Saturday's settlement, ABC will also publish a statement expressing its, quote, regret for the statements. Ahead of the ruling, a federal magistrate judge had ordered Trump and George to give sworn evidence at depositions next week.
Isaac Andich, the founder of high street fashion chain Mango, has passed away yesterday after a hiking accident in Spain.
According to local media reports, the 71-year-old billionaire slipped and fell from a 150-meter cliff while hiking with relatives in Barcelona. Foreign media said Andich's son was at the scene of the accident and police were called at about 1 p.m. with a helicopter and specialized mountain unit dispatched to the scene. Mango chief executive Tony Ruiz said in a statement, quote, "It is with deep regret that we announced the unexpected death of Isaac Andich, our non-executive chairman and the founder of Mango, in an accident that occurred this Saturday." According to the statement signed by Mango CEO Tony Ruiz, Andich served as the company's non-executive chairman. Posting on X, Spanish Prime Minister reacted to Andich's death, saying, quote, "all my affection and recognition for your great work and business vision, which had turned the Spanish brand into a world reference in fashion." Andich had a net worth of $4.5 billion according to Forbes, and he founded the Mango brand in Barcelona, Spain in 1984. Mango is one of Europe's leading fashion groups with stores in over 120 markets. In 2023, the company's sales surpassed $3.2 billion. The company currently operates 40 stores in the US and plans to open 20 more next year.
Welcome back to the news. Continuing in more local news, Minister of Trade, Commerce, Food Security and Cooperative Development Vasantha Samarasinghe said that nearly 8,000 metric tons of imported rice have been released into the market. The rice that had been imported through open tenders was distributed to meet market demand.
The minister assured that all departments have been instructed to conduct thorough inspections of the imported rice stocks. He also revealed that substandard rice was found in 3 out of 75 containers imported by a particular supplier. These stocks will be sent back. Customs spokesperson Sivali Arukoda said that the import of the substandard stocks of rice was the fault of the company that imported the rice to Sri Lanka. He added that the company will be required to reimburse the payments made for the rice. He clarified that the importer responsible for bringing the rice stock will not be blacklisted. In one of the containers with substandard rice, a sticker was placed over the production and expiry dates of the rice packages, altering those dates. The Food Control Unit of the Ministry of Health also reported finding insects in the rice in the other 2 containers. Additionally, Minister Samarasinghe announced that rice will be imported through Laksatusa and Sri Lanka State Trading Corporation after the 20th of December.
The public consultation on the proposed electricity tariff revisions will commence on the 17th of December. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka says that the public consultation will take place on the 8th of January.
The Ceylon Electricity Board has proposed that electricity tariffs should remain unchanged for the first 6 months of 2025. This proposal is part of a draft prepared by the Commission's permanent staff after review and will soon be open for public consultation. Public can provide opinions using several methods. Accordingly, the public can share their opinions and feedback via email at info@pucsl.gov.lk or through WhatsApp at 076 427 1030. Additionally, the public can submit their feedback by visiting the Public Utilities Commission in person or at designated regional offices. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka has already begun studies related to the proposed electricity tariff revisions. The Commission highlighted that they have received a report from the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation regarding the costs of fuel supplied to the CEB for electricity generation. This report, along with other relevant information, is being used as the foundation for the ongoing study.
7 people have died in Jaffna due to leptospirosis, with 58 cases confirmed thus far.
Dr. Tushani Dabarera from the Epidemiology Unit of the Ministry of Health stated that cases have been reported from Point Pedro, Chavakacheri and Karavetti MOH divisions in Jaffna. Dr. Dabarera said that special programs are being implemented to educate the public in these areas. In addition to leptospirosis, cases of influenza and dengue have also been reported. She urged people experiencing fever to seek medical attention. Meanwhile, a 23-year-old man who had fever passed away yesterday after receiving treatment at Point Pedro Hospital. The cause of his death has not yet been confirmed.
Up next is Crime Watch.
An individual who was travelling in a car was shot dead in Nagawa, Tamigoda at 11:30 last night. The victim, a 32-year-old father of 1, was an office assistant at the Samurthi head office. Police said that 2 people who were hiding in a forested area stopped the vehicle, opened fire with a T-56 firearm and then fled the scene. The victim was shot when he was returning from a party at his brother's house with his wife and child. Police said that the victim suffered serious head injuries from the gunshots and was pronounced dead upon admission to the Homagama Base Hospital. The Migoda police has launched further investigations to nab the suspects.
The Inland Revenue Department has announced that outstanding taxes for the assessment year 2023-2024 must be paid before January 26, 2025.
Commissioner General of the Inland Revenue Department, Sepalika Chandrasekara, said that the individuals and companies failing to meet this deadline will not be eligible for penalty relief. To collect unpaid self-assessment tax and outstanding tax payments, the department has initiated field surveys and legal proceedings under the Inland Revenue Ordinance. Legal action will be taken from January 2025, with bank accounts of those who fail to pay being seized without prior notice. Additionally, criminal cases may be filed for the outstanding tax amounts.
Ata Harunu Kamatan 2024 Samuddi poetry book authored by Iroshani Galhena and Thamira Manju was launched this morning at the Sambuddha Poetry Festival 2024 in Colombo.
Sambuddha Poetry Festival 2024 was held in Colombo this morning, where the Sambuddha Poetry Gold Award was presented for the author's published poetry book of the year. The event was chaired by the director of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre of the Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka, Professor Ankuran Datta. Professor Praneeth Abhayasundara, Professor Sarath Vijaysurya and Professor Amarasiri Vikramaratne were among other guests who attended the event.
I'm so happy that you have published today one book, and very recently a group of Sri Lankan poets, they visited different places of India, Delhi, Hyderabad and Chennai, and they exchanged their ideas, their creative literary works with the Indian counterparts. And this is in the real sense the cultural bridge between both the countries. When I came here, I was so surprised to see that Sanskrit is so importantly taught here in different institutions in Sri Lanka, and more particularly in more than 825 Pirivenas of Sri Lanka. There are more than 1,000 Sanskrit teachers in all the Pirivena and also in different universities and in different other institutions. So we can translate some of the interlinguistic translations if we can just give some more importance We organize another program also on Mahagama Sekara. So if we can do some translations from Sinhala to Indian languages, I'll be really happy for that. And I would like to request Sabuti also to we can start this activity now, so that we can translate some of the contemporary poems from Sinhala to Indian languages. Not only in one language, but also in different languages, as well as in Tamil as well. I also hope that in the near future, from the poets from India also will visit Sri Lanka, and we will have more constructive discussions.
Several scholars present at the event were also rewarded for their insightful contributions to the exploration of Indian poetry during the Poetry Reign of Bharat program.
In just 10 days, millions around the world will celebrate the joyous occasion of Christmas. During the past few days, the Halpe Antri School of Music Choir has been spreading Christmas cheer with their melodious performances. From Colombo to Kandy, the singers have captivated audiences with their talent.
The choir of Halpe Andre School of Music enchanted the crowd at the Brookside Christmas Carnival yesterday. The choristers' harmonious performances added a festive touch to the event, captivating the audience with their melodious voices. The Halpe Andre School of Music choir brought a touch of heavenly harmony to Kandy today. The talented choristers performed a special guest appearance at the Serenade of Christmas cheer, captivating the audience with their voices.
Verite research says that the government is not at risk of overborrowing for the year 2024. It adds that the government's total domestic borrowing in 2024 is well within the financing limits of the budget.
The statement issued by Verite Research states that the government borrows primarily to cover the primary deficit, pay interest on debt and repay principal on maturing debt. The total amount the government expected to borrow in the year 2024 was 3,670 billion rupees. The actual borrowings of the government from January to September amounted to 1,903 billion rupees. The statement adds that therefore there is another 1,766 billion that the government can borrow during October to December within the limit set by the government. The statement by Verite stressed that from October to November, domestic debt stock increased by 371 billion, leaving a more than ample 659 billion rupees within the domestic financing limits of the budget for the month of December.
The Department of Meteorology states that a low pressure area is formed over Southeast Bay of Bengal.
The Met Department states that a low-pressure area is formed over southeast Bay of Bengal. The department added that it is likely to intensify further and move west-northwestwards towards the Tamil Nadu coast, close to north of Sri Lanka during the subsequent 2 days. The general public, particularly living in the eastern and northern provinces, have been requested by the Met Department to be attentive to the future forecasts and bulletins issued by the Department of Meteorology in this regard. The Met Department forecast heavy showers above 100 millimeters at some places in the northern, eastern, north central and Uva provinces and in the Mathale district. Showers or thunder showers may occur at several places elsewhere during the evening or night. Landslide warnings have been issued to 5 districts. This includes the districts of Badulla, Kandy, Kurunegala and Mathale. 3 of the 5 sluice gates of the Udawalawe reservoir have been opened since last night owing to heavy rains. The engineer in charge of the reservoir cautioned the general public living in Ambalantota, Ridhyagama and Malay Colonia areas to be vigilant. Meanwhile, 2 sluice gates of the Kalawava reservoir have been opened by 3 feet each. Water is being released at a rate of 3,369 cubic feet per second. 2 sluice gates of the Nachaduwa reservoir have been opened by 1 feet each. Water from the reservoir is being released to the Malwatu Oya. The engineer in charge of the reservoir said that if heavy showers continue, the sluice gates will be opened further. Four sluice gates of the Rajangane reservoir continue to be open. Our correspondent reported that the Lunugam-Mehero reservoir has also reached spill level. There is a threat of the banks of the Dambulla-Udawalawe reservoir giving away owing to the rapid rise in water levels. A tree had fallen onto a house in the Norelia Colonia area in the Pandikaramadu Galen Bindunu River during a spell of heavy showers. No residents of the house were injured.
And with that, we wrap up news for tonight. Do take care and good night.